Hello and welcome to part 11. In this video we're going to have a look at how we can rotate the elbow according to where the hand is relative to the shoulder position. So let's get started. Inside the UBIK component we have this solve arms, and currently we have a function getting called that is called solve elbow joint. I'm actually going to start to rename this because I didn't really like the name of this, to set elbow base position. And also I want to turn your attention to the variables I currently have now. I made a grouping of them off video, so in case you want to follow along and do it exactly as I do, you should click through all these with a double view at the end, and then type in a category, wall space for example, or component space or shoulder space, depending on which of these you select. And that will create this nice hierarchy out here, so it's a little bit easier to work with. Okay, and if we just, for now, in this video, focus on the left hand. So I'm gonna disconnect the right hand. What that means is that when you hit play, you're gonna get a green line going through the mirror, as you can see here. Don't worry about that. You will get a little task here to fix that afterwards yourself. And I'm gonna cover that in the next video, how we ended up solving that anyway. So let's just take this stuff here for the left one, disconnect these two here, and also this one here. So what we're going to do here is to create actually two functions, and we're going to implement one of them, but we're just going to create both of them so we have the kind of framework set already. So this one we're going to call rotate by hand position, and we're going to take a few parameters for this one. One of them is going to be a transform, and the other one is going to be the lower arm here. And we're also going to take in a hand location and a boolean, which will tell us if it's the left or the right arm. And then it's going to return two transforms, just new upper arm and new lower arm, like this. So this is in essence what it's going to do. And if we just compile this, we're going to create a similar one called rotate hand elbow by hand rotation. In this case, it's going to take a different type of hand. It's going to take a rotator. Like this. But as mentioned, we're only going to implement one of them in this video, but we are going to set up the hierarchy here for this, or the structure. So connect up the hand position and just connect the upper arm and lower arm, and we want to get the hand here, so drag that over here. And make sure to check this left arm, and then we're going to connect up the other one. And you could argue that it would have been more clean to create one function here, which would take a hand transform instead. I would normally agree with that, but for clarity, I'm doing it this way. And I can't outrule that I might change it in a later video if I think it's a good idea. But for now, this is the way I'm going to implement it, because I have to break this up into two videos because it takes a little bit of time to explain. So the left upper arm transform is going to get it from the left new upper arm, and the lower arm is going to go down to this one we've disconnected just now. So this is the way it's going to look. So you should have 3 nodes getting called now. Okay, let's go into rotate elbow by hand position, which is the one that we are going to focus on today. What we basically need to do is to take these 2 transforms here and then rotate them around a pivot point. And that pivot point is what we're going to actually start off with. So let me just check something. Yeah, we need to create a little helper function here called RotateElbow, which is going to take the 2 same transforms that we just passed in here. So the upper arm, oops, and the lower arm. And then it's also going to take in the hand position. We don't need the rotation for this. That means maybe we need, okay, never mind. We'll address that in the next video if needed. Okay, and then we also need that is left hand arm. So almost the same variables as before. And then we also need an angle. And you might wonder, why do we need an angle? Oh, well, that is the angle that we're going to rotate around an axis, and that axis is what I'm going to get to in a moment. So this is what we're going to input here, and then it's going to output these 2 transforms again. New upper arm, and then new lower. Okay, this is good to begin with. Okay, I'm just gonna make it pure also. So when we call it from rotate by hand position, like this, it's just a little bit neater to look at. This left arm is gonna be the same as his left arm here. I could just type in his left arm or just connect it to the parameter, but I think I'm going to do it this way. And hand is going to be this variable here. And upper arm and lower arm is going to be the same as well. Okay, so that means that all we basically need to figure out is the angle. And if you remember the angle from last time, I don't know what happens if I just hit play, nothing happens. Okay, let's see, this one calls base position, hand position. Okay, we can test this by just connecting things up, so nothing happens, just a pass-through function. So this is for the hand rotation, just connect that up. The rotate elbow we just connect up again, and the rotate elbow by hand, it's already connected up. So we just hit play, we can see what the base looks like. And what I'm also going to do is to explain this a little bit better, is to take this debug actor here, move it kind of in the front of the shoulder, so it looks a little bit like this. So it's looking from the top, it's more or less in front here. So I'm gonna, with that selected, I'm gonna hit right click the location and copy that, and then hit stop, and then select the actor again and then paste it in. So when we hit play, we have the same starting position every time. And in this position, if you watch yourself with your hand in front of your shoulder in a kind of relaxed position, the elbow is actually pointing downwards. Otherwise, you're really weird, I would say, if you're resting with the elbow out to the side. So that is actually what we are going to add into the base angle of this here. But nevertheless, we need to do the rotation first. So what is the rotation axis that I'm talking about? Well, if you watch it from the top here, you can kind of see that between the upper arm point here and the hand is an imaginary axis here. And that is the axis that we want to rotate this point about. So let me just draw that out next to here. Oh, I'm using the wrong end of the pen. So we have the shoulder here, and we have the upper arm left, and then we have the hand here, and then that axis I was talking about is this one here. And the elbow or the lower arm, let's just place it for simplicity somewhere here. Lower arm left, and then it's connected here to here. So what we want to do here is to figure out where to rotate this point here, this upper arm here. Oops. Just take a red color here. And this point, as you can see, it can kind of be anywhere on this circle here. So if you just kind of imagine as a plane here, it can be anywhere on this circle. So maybe it would be over here. That would also be a valid point. But anyway, so what we're going to do is to rotate it around this point inside here. So we need to figure out where that is. And we can actually use a built-in function called project vector onto vector. So let's build that now. Or let's do this rotation here. So let's hit stop and go back here. So we're inside this rotate elbow, and that is where we're going to do all this this logic here. Okay. So we might as well disconnect this, and we're going to have we created a function last time called rotate point around pivot, and we're just going to use that again here. So drag that in and take these two and connect up. And as I just showed, the elbow, this lower arm here, needs to be rotated to a different point. And what that means is that when it's rotated, the lower arm, is going to be in a different position, and the upper arm is also going to be in a different position. And that means that is the reason why we need to, whoops, go, too many windows. That means that we're going to have to rotate both the upper arm and the lower arm. So upper arm is going to get rotated, and the lower arm is also going to get rotated. This one. And the challenge here is to figure out how much, why should it be rotated around. So it's basically figuring out this point in the middle here. Keep switching to the wrong window. Okay. So we have the hand. Let's start off by creating that axis first. So we have the hand here. So let's say the hand minus the upper arm location. The hand needs to go down here and the location needs to go here. Okay, and that is the I'm just gonna comment this, the upper arm to hand axis. So when I talked about using this project vector onto vector, this is going to be the target, and the elbow itself break out like this. I think the way it should be is to take, because this is actually when we subtract the upper arm from the hand, it becomes an axis or direction. So we need to do the same with the lower arm in order to get, because this is in shoulder space at the moment. So I think, and I might have to correct this in a moment, but let's do it for now. And it might not make much of a difference anyway. Let's see. I think we need to take the upper arm and subtract the lower arm. So this is from the bottom here, and this is what we're going to use to project onto. And that means that we now have a point on the direction vector, point on the direction vector. And in order to get it back onto the relative to the upper arm, we're going to take the upper arm and then add in the upper arm vector again, or position, like this. Like this. Okay, so this should be the point itself for the pivot. So make transform. And actually we need to create, let me just do it like this, because we also need to create the the rotator. Yes, which is going to be, because the axis, the forward axis of this pivot point is going to be the vector going from the upper arm to the hand. We're just going to use the roll for the angle here. So this angle needs to go in here into the roll. That's going to rotate it around that X forward. I'm pretty sure that made perfect sense, right? And also one more thing we need to take into account is that it's going to be different depending on whether it's the left hand or the right hand. So we need this select float, and I believe actually we just copied this from somewhere else. We just did, didn't we just implement this somewhere else? I'm just gonna have a look quick. From head, from hands. No, not from hands. Not here. I would have sworn. Maybe not. No, never mind. I can't find it. Let's continue. So inside solve arms, again, inside hand position, and inside rotate elbow. We're going to take the A and say minus and say 180. I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere. I can't find it now. And then for the B, it's going to be plus 180. And his left arm is going to go into the bowl here. There we go. So this is how we create the roll for the delta into rotate point around pivot. And just to continue or finish what we started here, this point here is now the pivot point location. And if you want, it's in shoulder space. And now we need to create a rotation for this. And the rotation we're going to create out of a few things. We're going to use this one called make rotation from axis. And we're going to take in the upper arm to hand axis as the forward. That means that that one going the blue axis here, and we have the upper arm is already rotated in a meaningful way, so we're going to use that as an up vector here. So you can see the upper arm, we're going to take the up vector, and I'm just going to make it further out, just to make it a little bit more air. And then we're gonna just cross these two, because when we have two meaningful orthogonal axes, then we can create another orthogonal axis just by crossing these two. Do a cross product, and I think the forward vector needs to be first and the other one this way, otherwise it's going to turn the wrong way, but we'll see in a moment when we start testing. I think that is all we need for this. It's bothering me a little bit. We have too many lines crossing over each other. Anyway, let's test it out now. Solve arms. Hand position. So as I said, I wanted to take this. Can you see me on the screen? No. This was the base position, and I wanted to go 90 degrees down. So if I type in 90 degrees now, I just hard code it. Come on. 90 degrees down, and hit play. We get a wrong. That was definitely not what I expected. So we need to do a little debugging. Let's see, what did I miss? Upper arm, pivot, scale, make rotator. Cross this one. Upper arm plus this one. So this is what happens when you do things live, kind of. Let's see. What did I miss? Do I feed in values in all of them? 90 degrees, solve arms. This one gets a value, this one gets a value. Okay, so it's definitely something happening inside here, because we rotate pivot point location. So it seems like this is wrong. Let's see the lower arm. What happens if I just pass in this? No. Did definitely not help. Just to check something, if I just give it a 0 rotation, it's still the same. So I'm thinking the pivot point location is wrong. I have that wrong. This is projected onto the upper arm to hand, the upper arm to hand minus, and then the lower arm projected plus. Let's see. Oh, that one. That's better. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's just try and test this in VR. So, sorry, I forgot that. Okay, so as you can see now, or maybe, I don't know if you can see me. Can you see me on the screen? I don't know. When I'm moving my hand from side to side, it's sort of looking okay. But as you know, when I move my hand across my chest, the elbow would go up normally, and currently it's just staying down here. It's looking sort of okay when I move my hand to the side, as you can see here. But it's not looking correct when I'm tilting the hand, and that's where the rotation from the hand comes in. As you can see, what happens is really the hand rotating, which would cause the elbow to go up. And that is actually mostly the case also when I turn my arm across the chest here. But anyway, so this part here is actually working okay for now, and we can reuse this part here later on. And let's see, how much time did we spend on this so far? We have a half an hour. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna break this up into 2 videos here because it's a little easier to explain that way and keep the focus. So for now, let's just go with this. We have a visible result we can work with, and then we can continue to elaborate on this in the next video. Right, so thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next part here, where we'll continue to work with the angle here, how we can get a meaningful angle out of the hand position here. Okay, bye, and see you in the next.